Hello fellow angels, this is Zavi, aka Revert Mercy, and last week I've asked all of you what are your thoughts on the amount of nerfs and changes done to Mercy. Do you think it was worth it? Or would you have liked to see something different? I've also held a poll on Twitter asking the same question, and the majority of you said that you would like something else. Seeing how Mercy was nerfed constantly and left in her current state, I can understand how you guys would feel the way you do. Quite simply, things could have been handled a lot better with the hero, and I would also like to take this time to read some of your amazing comments as well as share some of my thoughts. So let's begin. The astrobiologist says, excellent work as always Zavi. So glad to see you continuing to grow. Thank you Astro, and likewise to you as well. Anyways, my response, I don't think that Mercy 1.0 would have realistically worked once the devs decided to go down this more competitive oriented route with the game, simply because she was really only good for her ult, which wasn't great in the first place. I do however, think the path they took with the rework was a mistake. They massively overloaded her kit, underestimating how powerful res by itself was, and then retroactively had to dilute everything, to the point of her kit basically being a damage boost bot with a res every 30 seconds as a bonus. I'd be here forever if I also went into the issues of how unimpactful it made her, but I suppose that instead of the rework she got, I'd rather have seen mass res given line of sight checks, and, ironically, something akin to Valkyrie added to her kit as a knee ability. First with Bastion then with Mercy, Blizzard reworked a weak character and made them completely busted, then seemingly panicked and nerfed the heroes to literally a worse state than they were in to begin with. These failures are hallmarks of the heroes needing new reworks. I agree. There's a famous saying of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Mercy 1.0 had its own problems of course, but I believe they could have stuck with it and made it work for competitive play through the things you've mentioned, like line of sight or giving res a cast time, rather than completely change her kit and forcing Mercy players to relearn their hero. I too feel that they have leaned a bit too hard in trying to appeal to the more competitive scene in that instance, regarding Bastion and Mercy, and the heroes are now in the strange limbo of being balanced but not very fun to play, at least in my opinion. My hope is that they simply see these problems and do something about them, before it's too late. Needless to say, considering the whole, Activision Blizzard seems to be constantly digging themselves in, both with the issues their company has had internally, and with its customer base, I cannot say that I will feel much sympathy for them regarding the latter, but can only hope for the best. Jill Gaming writes, without a doubt if a character was nerfed that many times, it has to be obvious something didn't work. Valkyrie was, and is, still a failure. With the time spent on merging, they could have done something to make her quote-unquote, rework, better. I still am an advocate for mass res, so if they did keep it I would have liked res giving back health, depending on the number of people she resed. And if I'm reading this right, I think these numbers she gave are in reference to both the cast time of res, and the percent of health her suggestion would give to Mercy? Apologies Jill if I mess any of this up. So for 2 to 3 people resed, they would receive 75% of health back. And for 4 to 5 people she reses, she would earn 55% of health back. And also a small speed boost instead of invulnerability, with a cast time as well. Which looks to also change with the number of people resed, so for 2 to 3 people she would get a 0.75 seconds cast time. And for 4 to 5 people resed, she would get a 1.25 seconds cast time. Again Jill correct me if I'm wrong there, but anyways, she continues with, I just want something for Mercy to make her feel like she belongs in Overwatch again. I do still hope for a brighter future. Excellent video as well. #rework Mercy #AngelSlay. Thank you for the kind words Jill, and I love the idea of giving her a slight speed boost instead of invincibility. The health percentage earned through resing is also really clever. And I'd love to see how this would play in the current version of Overwatch. I think it all boils down to one thing. Mercy mains were forced to play a rework that no one asked for, and then given a bunch of sledgehammer nerfs to try and cover up the huge amount of issues it caused. I like that they tried to come up with something different, but for Mercy, was giving her Valkyrie a good idea? maybe to some, which is totally fair, and those who enjoy Mercy as she is now, are completely entitled to feeling that way, and I am extremely happy for those of you who still find her fun. For me however, I agree with you. Looking back, I wouldn't consider it all that much of a success either. One could argue that she's finally balanced for example, but then again, statistically, she wasn't really too strong in 1.0 either, and needing buffs. I think the execution could have been done a bit better. And it's one of the main reasons why I've been releasing reworks of the hero with mass res in the workshop. Which if you guys haven't yet, do feel free to check them out, as I'm actively working on ways to make Mercy balanced, fair, and fun for everyone, and would love to get feedback from all of you in making the best Mercy rework in the workshop. Links will be in the description. But back on topic, excellent points made Jill, and thank you for giving your awesome suggestions. MJB writes, I would have liked to see a third ability. I created one in the workshop and the gameplay was so much better than before. The ability is like the shift ability of Reaper but with the difference that you can use your gun and can heal while you use it for 5 seconds. But it has a 30 seconds cooldown. I think this little thing could change everything. Thanks MJB, I did try your code, and it certainly does make a difference in how she plays. Anyone else who would be interested, do feel free to check out their work, and if any of you who have made any Mercy Workshop creations that you would like to share, do feel free to tweet to me on Twitter under the hashtag AngelSlay or hashtag ReworkMercy, and I would be more than happy to feature them in an upcoming video. Links will be in the description as well. Nova Ziegler says, oh my god, my comment made it in. You made me blush, thank you for your nice words. Of course Nova. I am glad, and thank you for your post. Mercy is the hero that has received the most nerfs in all of Overwatch. At first, she was underpowered, then with invincibility she was overpowered. However, the biggest complaint was the hide and res. They could have fixed that by adding line of sight. Instead the devs stubbornly gave us Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie made Mercy an OP mess, made her a must pick and encouraged people to get their res off in the battle Mercy. It also put all Mercies in the same skill level, whether you had high awareness or couldn't understand who to heal first, you were the same because of chain beams. When even Mercy main said she was OP, she was once again changed. No longer could you res instantly unless you're in Valkyrie and you had only 2 reses only. That was still OP, and didn't help. So now they nerfed her again, you were slower, could not res instantly and was an easy pick for snipers. That rework turned Mercy boring to play. The only thing she had was her 60 heals per second. The only reason to pick her was high healing and chain beams. Well, the devs nerfed her healing back down to her original 50 HPS, that had been buffed because it was too weak, and said it's because Mercy could heal a lot during Valkyrie. That could have also been easily fixed by removing chain beams and buffing her healing a bit to 65/70 heals per second, that way good Mercies with awareness and bad Mercies that don't know who to heal would be set apart by how well they can juggle a high healing beam. The devs continued to throw the suggestions, and the real interest people had in helping them and even what comes out of the PTR, under the rug, and insisted everything was fine. None of her reworks, nerfs, or even buffs were worth it, because they led to a complete mess of a hero that needs bugs to be fun. The first ever problem could be fixed if the devs just thought a little more, and the mess Valkyrie was could have been avoided if they listened to the PTR comments. Instead we were ignored as a community, because our stubborn devs could not admit they made a mistake by reworking her the first time. So here is what Mercy needs, or at least what I would like to see for her. 60 heals per second again, Valkyrie only with 65 heals per second, no chain beams, 6 seconds duration, 15 seconds cooldown, super jump and that bunny hop in the game as timed abilities requiring GA, mass res as her ultimate with line of sight and maybe a small cast time, definitely less than her current res. That's all for me. Great video, I'm glad we have someone like you in our community. Thank you for the kind words Nova, as well as your suggestions. I'm more glad that we have people like you guys in this community, because it's you all that keep people like me going in all of this, so do give yourselves a round of applause for being so amazing, because none of this would be possible without all of you. Back to your comment though, you pretty much sum it up regarding Mercy's state and the injustices done to her, and I agree with you on it. I could even settle for 55 heals per second instead of 60 if they really wanted, if that means we get Mercy with mass res and line of sight. But overall it's a huge mess indeed, and to add, it kind of saddens me that those of us in the community, have been able to create better versions of Mercy in the various threads on the forums, workshops, videos, and elsewhere, and they get ignored, yet if anyone from the top 1% of pro play so much as fusses about her, they are more than willing to set up interviews and one-on-one talks in answering any question they may have about the heroes, while consistently missing the mark on making her impactful, engaging, and rewarding to play. This kind of elitism isn't doing them, or the game, any favors in my opinion, and I believe it shows when you look at the state of the game right now, and of the company as a whole. I would wonder what the game end of Mercy would be like if they instead listened to the rest of their player base, or anyone outside of the select few. I suppose we will never know. But it's clear that the majority of the community agrees that though she's currently balanced, Mercy could use some more pizzazz to make her feel more fun. Alavlaska, love your username, says, personally I think if they just left Mercy as she was in Season 5 and then nerfed the charge rate to resurrect, we could have seen a simpler vertical movement ability and Mercy would have been much more engaging and less controversial to balance. Yep, I agree. I'd love to have had her get something similar to what Baptiste has now with his exo boots, or maybe even just tweaking her current super jump bug, to be included in her kit. Mobility is one of the most engaging parts of her kit right now, so continuing with that from the beginning, or perhaps even a skill-based burst heal, would make her a stronger, and more balanced hero in general, without needing to change her completely. These types of changes have been hugely requested for years by the community after all. Why not just give them what they want? Right? Arya says, I think it shows how horribly the rework went. They should have scrapped it right away and tried to work with Mercy 1.0 or made something completely different, instead of giving her nerf, after nerfs, for months. It reflected horribly on the team. I know, right? Saving face is one thing, but not being able to simply admit when you've messed up with a hero, ignore feedback from your customers, and then assume it's a mystery as to why Mercy's current state is so controversial, speaks volumes to me on how out of touch they are with the player base. Simply put, this could have gone a lot better, and, sorry if I mispronounce your name here, but I think it's pronounced Noon Teresa Pulyaso? I'm so sorry for butchering your name. If you don't mind, I'll just call you Nepal for now. Nepal writes, I mean XQC always hated Mercy, like always. And look, I follow the Blizzard guides and the Omnic post on Instagram, both with a lot of followers, and they once asked on their stories, which hero do you think that needs a buff? And OMG, 90% of the answers were Mercy. So yeah, I think it's time for a buff or rework. Love your vids. Thanks so much for the love, and yeah. I guess it's fair to say that there's 3 things that are certain in this world. Death, taxes, and XQC's passionate hatred for Mercy. That aside, I think that happens simply because of Mercy being a popular hero, and that despite all the hatred, Mercy mains are still passionate and willing to fight for positive changes to be done for her. I say, Blizzard, let's try something different, and actually listen to feedback from the players. A little bit of engagement with your community goes a long way, and I think once they start opening the discussion with Mercy players and asking them what they would want for their hero, the more chances there would be at healthier discussion being done for her, rather than her being so controversial. Overall, good points. Isaac Ferronado writes, the first mistake was to release the rework in the live servers without nerfing it properly in the PTR, where it is supposed to be nerfed when something is clearly way up in tests. The nerfs were needed? Almost all of them, yes. Valkyrie was giving so much value on its own that it's impossible to deny the absurd impact it gave, so I think it's okay. The healing nerf, however, was a mistake. Moira and Anna were both buffed in the same patch, so they could have waited to see what would happen. Nonetheless, I like the concept of an ultimate that improves the kit with has a small cooldown, but Valkyrie seems to be poorly designed with the kit. I still think it could have been avoided by trying to keep Resurrection as an ultimate, but tweak it and giving an E ability, like your workshop project. Oh yes, the PTR has been so underutilized that it seems almost comical to me. I see it as such a huge missed opportunity with heroes who have gotten reworks against the wishes of the players, not only for Mercy, but for other heroes as well, such as Bastion and Symmetra. Now I could be wrong here, but I think it's fair to say that if it was seen more as a testing playground for creative ideas and hero concepts, and less so a place where changes are most likely going to be final, I think Mercy's rework would have been sent back to the drawing board. And the 5+ months of Valkyrie being extremely powerful, along with the increased backlash, Mercy's multitude of nerfs, and the buffs to Ana and Moira to make up for it, would have been avoided. Great points there, and indeed, in testing my workshop modes, I've found, along with all of you, that Valkyrie does in fact work extremely well as an E ability, alongside Resurrect as an ult with tweaks. And as a segue there, I'd like to wrap this video up with something a little different. Not so much a question of the week, but rather, what you would prefer to see with regards to my workshop videos and a bit of a life update. As some of you may have noticed, I've been quite hushed about the updates with regards to the Valkyrie version of Mercy's Mass Res Workshop mod. And there are a couple reasons for it. The first reason is because, I believe the Mass Res Mercy modes are getting to a point where they are slowing down a bit in terms of necessary changes, so there hasn't been much need for videos about them. The second reason is that I've been working for quite a while on the Valkyrie version of the Mass Res mod, and due to the ever-changing nature of the past workshop updates, the nature of how that mod worked requires me to essentially recreate it from scratch, which, alongside my normal life and work, has taken a bit more time than I've initially anticipated. I know how much many of you like this version of my mod, and besides being the most complex, it's perhaps my favorite version of my Mass Res mods as well. So I've been working diligently on not just making simple tweaks, but also some huge breakthroughs that I can't wait to show you all, once they're ready. Finally, the place where I've uploaded all of my mod pages, Overwatch Forge, has moved to a new website, and in the process, all of my workshop mods have been lost with them. Now fortunately, I have backed up all of the import codes to my computer, and they are still accessible through my tweets and videos, but this means that I will be spending the next few weeks getting the mods on their newly migrated website, workshop.elohell.gg. I'll be tweeting updates about my mods on the new website as well, and will be posting updates there once they have been approved, so do be sure to follow me on Twitter and hit the bell icon on my YouTube channel, to stay up to date. In all of this, my question to you all for this week then, would be, what do you think about progress videos for my Mercy Workshop mods? Would this be something that you all would like to see, or would you all be fine with the current pacing of the workshop mods, in which they are uploaded as they are finished with all the import codes? If you would like to see progress videos, I could upload videos of what I've been working on and things I've been trying along the way, and though I would be able to upload more content this way, keep in mind that these videos will be showing unfinished projects that are likely to change, so they will be less polished. Do let me know what you guys would want, and I'll be sure to make a final decision in the coming weeks. Thank you all so much for all of your support. I love you all so much, and remember, we're in this together.